Throughout history, the fight for freedom is echoed across continents and centuries. Long before the American Revolution, enslaved people were resisting, revolting, and fighting for their humanity. Today we're diving into the story of the first slave rebellion in the Americas, the Stono Rebellion, and the powerful legacy it left behind. The first recorded slave rebellion in the Americas occurred in 1522 on the island of Hispaniola, modern-day Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Enslaved Africans, among the first brought to the New World by Spanish colonists, rose up against their oppressors. Though suppressed, this marked the beginning of a long legacy of resistance. But the rebellion that would shake colonial America and change the course of history happened over 200 years later. It was September 9th, 1739, near the Stono River, just outside Charleston, South Carolina. A man named Jemmy, an enslaved African believed to be from the Kingdom of Congo, gathered about 20 fellow enslaved people. They were determined to seize their freedom. With military precision, they raided a local store, seizing guns and ammunition. They killed the storekeeper and began their march south, heading to Spanish Florida, where freedom was promised to enslaved people who could escape. They carried banners, chanted for freedom, and burned plantations along their path. Their numbers grew up to 60 as more enslaved Africans joined the march. Colonial militias eventually confronted them. In the brutal battle that followed, about 30 rebels were killed, and the rest were captured and executed or sold to the West Indies. The rebellion had been crushed, but its impact was only just beginning. In response to the uprising, South Carolina enacted the Negro Act of 1740, designed to tighten control over enslaved people and prevent future rebellions. This law restricted movement and assembly, preventing enslaved people from traveling or gathering without white supervision, prohibited education, banning reading and writing to curb communication and organization, limited economic independence, forbidding enslaved people from earning money or growing their own food, increased surveillance with formalized slave patrols, empowering white militias to monitor and suppress any resistance. This law influenced slave codes across the American colonies, making life even more oppressive, yet rebellion and resistance continued. The Stono Rebellion wasn't the only uprising. It was part of a wider pattern of resistance across the Americas. New York Slave Revolt, 1712. A fire was set as a diversion, followed by an attack that left 9 colonists dead. The revolt was suppressed, and 21 enslaved people were executed. New York Conspiracy, 1741. Fear of rebellion led to mass arrests and 34 executions, despite weak evidence. Gabriel's Rebellion, 1800. Inspired by revolutionary ideals, Gabriel Prosser planned to capture Richmond. A storm delayed the attack, and the plot was betrayed. Gabriel and 26 others were executed. Each revolt, though ultimately unsuccessful, fueled the growing resistance against slavery. These rebellions weren't just acts of defiance. They were expressions of cultural identity and unity. The Stono rebels, many of whom were from the Kingdom of Congo, used drums and chants not only to communicate, but also to assert their cultural heritage. Their spirit of resistance spread beyond South Carolina. It inspired future leaders. Denmark Vesey in Charleston, 1822, and Nat Turner in Virginia, 1831, drew inspiration from earlier revolts. The Haitian Revolution, 1791 to 1804, showed enslaved people that freedom was possible. These rebellions directly influenced the abolitionist movement, laying the groundwork for the fight to end slavery. The Stono Rebellion and the uprising that followed weren't just about fighting slavery. They were about human dignity, cultural survival, and the universal desire for freedom. Their legacy lives on, reminding us that resistance to oppression is as old as oppression itself, and that the fight for justice continues. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories of courage and resistance. Peace.
Bread man, make myself your life is not a dead man.